Hi guys, I'm Ryan Newsman and welcome to my fly tying channel. If you haven't already done so, consider hitting the subscribe button down below. That'll keep you up to date with everything as I upload it. My channel already contains hundreds of videos covering a wide range of both patterns and techniques, from the basic to the more advanced. So without delay, let's get on with the show. Hi guys, so tonight we're going to tie a fly called Booty's Quick Descent Nymph. So this is a fast sinking nymph pattern for use to imitate the blue-winged olives, and it was designed by a guy called Boots Allen and for the Snake River. It incorporates a tungsten bead and a small sized fly, so you're talking 16s and 18s here. This one happens to be a 14 because it's easier, as I said, for me to tie a bigger fly for the purpose of the video, that you can see what's going on. And this happens to be a Hannock slotted bead here, a Hannock slotted tungsten bead, and generally I would use either a standard or a short shanked hook for this. So if we take our tie and thread, and I'm getting it in here into the slot, and then I can start to wrap. So the tie and thread is actually wrapping the slot, turning the bead, and that allows us to build up our tie and thread in the bead, and therefore should help us to fix it in position. Once it sort of stops moving, I'm going to start to build up in behind it a little bit and give us a good solid base for the bead so it doesn't shift, shall we say. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of super glue and I'm going to just get it onto that tie and thread, and you'll see it'll wick in there a little bit. And just give it a little second to set, and then I'm going to wrap more into that super glue. Now I'm trying to create like a little bit of a taper here. So I keep wrapping back and forward, and eventually we should end up with a fairly solid sort of a construct where the bead is forced to the front and shouldn't move. So this fly is going to tie round the bend of our hook, and we're going to put in a tail now. And for the tail you can use either sort of brown hackle fibers, or I'm going to use a bit of cock pheasant tail here. So I am going to wrap along the shank and down round the bend. When I'm round the bend to the point where I'm going to finish my tying, I'm going to put on a couple of loose laps, and then I'm going to pull these fibers here forward until I just get a very short little tail section. Sometimes it's easier to do this if you turn your fly upside down. Tie that in, I'm going to flip it back and tie off. So next is the rib. So what I'm going to use here is a UTC green metallic rib. Tie that in. Up to the back of the bead, and then wrap it back. Right back to where our tail was. So the dubbing for this, there is an actual dubbing called fast descent dubbing. If you don't have something, don't get overly worked with it, just use something that approximates to it. So what I'm going to use is Hen's Spectra dubbing, and that I'm going to use an olive color in that. If you want, you can mix and match ribbons. Just blend them together. Take some wax and put it onto our tying thread. And then I'm going to dub on a little dubbing rope, and then I'm going to start to wrap that. And what I'm trying to achieve here is a little bit of taper as we go forward. I'll rip off the dubbing. So that's the body part done. As you keep noticing, I'm going to turn this fly upside down because it's far easier to wrap into the bowl of the hook, especially with these sort of things if they want to slip. So we'll rib that, and when we get to the front, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue wrapping that, but in tight touch and turns. It will add to the weight as well, and snap it off, and that'll give us a really neat tie off of our wire without having to use our scissors or anything to cut it. And then I want to just wrap over that. Because we want this to sink fast, just any fibres that are sticking out I'm just ripping off, so there's less water resistance. And now next we're going to tie in a little bit of CDC. So I have an olive CDC feather here, and I'm going to tie that in across the back there. 2 laps over it and just let it hang. And then what I'm going to do is pull that forward until it just creates this little tuft of CDC sticking out here. And you might think, why are we putting something that floats into a fly that you want to sink? And the idea behind this is that CDC, when it goes underwater, can trap a little bubble of air, and that just acts as an attractor for your fish, obviously because it shines, but also there are certain underwater insects like Corixa and things like that which actually do bring air down with them from the surface. So there may be some thinking behind that as well. So for the thorax cover, what we want is some sort of like a brown Zedlon or Antron. So I'm going to take this sort of coppery brown coloured one that I have. I'm going to tie it in tight up to the back of the bead and fold it back on itself. And that is there to create our thorax cover. So tie that right back tight up to where we finished the body off. And then we're going to put on a thorax. So again, we're going to use the same dubbing, or use a slightly different colour just to give you a little bit of a tonal change to the thorax. So I'm going to use like a brown olive here. Create our little thorax bump, pull over the thorax cover and tie that down. I'll flip it back on itself, tie in front of it. For added security, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to coat my tying thread in a little run of super glue or Zap-A-Gap, whatever you want to call it, and just wrap into that, just in behind the bead, and that'll just set everything in place. And if you want to make it extra neat, what you can do is take another tiny little bit of your dubbing, wrap that on, just enough that's going to give you like a 1 or 2 turns, and wrap over that while it's still wet with the glue, and then pull your tying thread tight in behind the bead. That'll slide down into the gap, then whatever adhesive you've put in will set, and there's no way that's coming out. So that is our, I suppose, variation of Booty's Quick Descent Nymph. So if you like what you see, give us a like, subscribe, tell your friends, check out the other videos that we have on the channel, and until next time, tight lines, and thanks for watching.